Hey everyone, welcome to my monthly video review of Sonic the Hedgehog, issue 229, the final part of Genesis. Now, a lot has really happened over the past few days. Pretty much we already know what the fate of Sally is going to be. Now I have to say though that Genesis, it was an okay story, I'll put it that way. A lot of people felt as though it didn't really live up to its hype. Some felt it did, but I thought it was okay. I like the fact that throughout the comic that they slowly start to remember everything, and then in this issue that it's Sally, then later on Sonic, that starts remembering everything through huge flashbacks. Overall, I have to say it's a pretty decent conclusion, even though we have the implage afterwards. Now, what can we say about this story? Well, I have to say it was a good one. I will say that. It did have some reminiscing of the games and all that, but had a nice twist on it. I like how at the end, when Sally tells Rotor everything's going to be okay, Rotor, as Boomer, is questioning Rotor, Sonic, what? It's like he doesn't know. He doesn't quite understand the situation, but Sally does. I like how when they're running around, when the three of them are running in the oil ocean zone, as it's called, how Sally kind of agrees with Rotor that Sonic should be with them, but instead of saying be with them, she says be with me. Then she has to correct herself, and Rotor's like, yeah, right, we know what you meant. Well, I know what you meant. So, anyway, basically we got two separate missions here. Sonic also kind of agrees that he should have brought the others with him because he could use some friendly company. And he would like to have somebody crack at his jokes if he makes them. Now, overall, I have to say the story base on this is very, very good. Now, in case you never read the spoilers or didn't kind of have a clue as to what was going on, basically Robotnik's ultimate plan, or Eggman's ultimate plan for this whole changing and the shift of reality in the world is to roboticize it. That's right, folks. Robotnik's main goal out of this whole thing with the Death Egg was to roboticize. He basically wants to finally get back to robotization. Now, Eggman, of course, obviously does remember some bits of what happened, but mainly recalls and knows of what he's done. And has said, and has agreed with Sonic that the world is tearing itself apart, but it's doing it so it could try to get itself back to normal. It's trying to bring itself, the world of Mobius, back to its status quo. But Eggman does not want that to happen but Eggman's not going to allow that, as he says, because he will fire his roboticizer and roboticize every living thing on the planet. Now, the question is though, they do have an all-out battle. Robotnik has this big suit and everything, kind of like a super suit. He fights Sonic, basically tells him that, hey, I don't remember much of the old world, but I do recall one main thing, and that is every time I've had a plan, you and your friends have constantly foiled it time and time again, but you're not going to do it this time. And he basically rambles on and says he has all the aces, but then he makes the mistake of saying, hey, the Death Egg is powered by all the Chaos Emeralds, which allows Sonic to take two wire conductors, if you will, connect them together, and just as it looks like Robotnik has stomped on him to finish him off, Sonic pushes him off, saying, "Hey Doc, you just make it way too easy." Now the one thing I like about this is when Eggman realizes he blew it right there, he tells Sonic, no, I will not. He's yelling at Sonic he's not going to lose again. He tells Sonic to die, die, die. That's the first time we've heard that in a while. But anyway, Sonic and him have this big battle. And Snively, while this battle is going on, tries to tell Eggman that the planet is tearing itself apart, it's becoming unstable, and that he believes that not even the Death Egg roboticizer will be able to stabilize it. In other words, Snively's saying this planet is becoming so unstable that even if we fire the roboticizer, it won't change a thing. So, anyway, Sonic, upon hearing this, finally delivers some of the final blows to Eggman just long enough to grab the two cords that he used before to become supersonic, use chaos control, and thus revert everything back to the way it was, hopefully. And then I like how they have him just write "Hi Sal" on a window. And this, like I said, this is where Sally tells Rotor everything's going to be okay, everything will be fine, Sonic knows what he's doing. And then she reaches up to the sky saying, "See you, Sonic," and then Sonic waves to her from the window, "On the other side, Sally." So, overall, I really like it. Overall, I really liked this issue. Well, I liked it, not really liked it, but I liked the issue. I thought it was an okay conclusion. I mean, the implage I know we still got going, happening, but I will say this. I mean, it was alright. I mean, I can understand why they did the Genesis arc and everything, but again, you know, to me, I'll be honest about it. I've always felt that Genesis could have been easily done as a separate book. You know, they've done that before. That is the one positive. A lot of people say that when Ken Penders was on the book, you know, they would be able to do something like that. But anyway, overall, I have to say it was okay. I'll give it 8 out of 10. Yeah, 8 out of 10. And definitely really check it out. The only thing that's counteracting about that is when you open the book, right after the story ends, they have this little thing called, or in between the story, they have this little section called the Sonic Spin. And Paul Kaminsky writes this, obviously. And he says, next month we'll find out what effects Genesis had on Mobius, as well, and I want you to listen carefully because this is what really throws a lot of fans off. The final fate of Sally Acorn will be. And you see, that's the one thing that fans don't want to hear, the final fate. But is it the final fate? You see, we don't know. We've always heard the word final in the Sonic comic book before. Like, we'll finally find out what the final fate of this person is. We'll finally find out what the final fate of that person or this thing. We've heard it before, and usually it's just temporarily what that fate will be. Now, a lot of fans already pretty much figure out what that fate is, and they're not happy about it. Some are okay with it because it's an interesting dynamic. It brings more character development. But I'll get into that when I talk about my opinion. So, overall though, this review, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for the Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis comic book. And when the hardcover comes out, basically the graphic novel version of it with all the stories including the implage, I definitely suggest picking it up because it'd be worth reading. It's worth reading. I mean, overall, I'll give the entire Genesis saga about a 9 out of 10. That's right, a 9 out of 10. Could have been better, but hey, you know, it's for the anniversary. What are you going to do? But yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10, and that's all I'm going to say. I mean, 9 out of 10 overall for the entire saga. See what happens with the implage. And I will talk more about certain situations later on with my opinions. And that's all I'm going to say, and I am out.